My friends, I just got a really interesting question from a viewer, and he asks, what do I think the Philippines could do better in terms of tourism? And I'm the perfect person to ask this question because so many people from around the world have told me that they watch my videos, and because they've been watching my videos, they actually decided to take a trip to the Philippines themselves. So I put a lot of thought into this, and I have a lot of experience in this area, of course. So I'm going to give you my top suggestions of what could be done better for tourists that want to visit the Philippines. And number one starts right with the airport. One of the best things they could do is clean up the airport of all the shady people hanging out around there. One viewer told me that they were even in line at immigration and they got pickpocketed and lost their phone before they even passed through immigration. And another thing, once you get past immigration, there's all those porters and all kinds of other people hanging out there that you don't know what they want, and they're going to approach you maybe with a cart and you're confused. Is this for free? Is this going to be an expensive charge? I know on my first trip to the Philippines way back in 2003, when I passed through immigration, I had all these guys coming up to me with carts, and it really made me nervous because they weren't clear about, is this a free service that the airport offers, or are they looking for a tip? Is there some sort of set fee for this? It's very confusing and kind of scary to someone doing it for the first time. And then the next problem you have is after you get through the airport outside, you take a taxi. Now there's a lot of scandalous taxi drivers around the country, especially right outside the airport, just waiting for tourists to show up and take advantage of them. One viewer told me that when they got through the airport, the taxi charged them 2,000 pesos just to go to Makati. That should be like 200 pesos. So if they could clear those people up, especially not just at the airport, but the bad taxi drivers in general. A lot of the times you'll take a taxi, and especially if it's someone from another country, it's almost like the driver just thinks, hey, how much can I get out of this person? And they start trying to, they either tell them like a sob story of why they should give more, or they just full out harass them into trying to make them pay more than whatever the meter says. Now I have to say though, there are other services these days that you can use, so you don't have to take taxis. You have Uber and you have Grab. I've taken Grab several times myself, always had a good experience. And one thing that I've noticed in the past year, I haven't had that many bad experiences with taxi drivers, and I think that's because of the competition from these other services. It's forced them to behave a little bit better. But it's really shameful when you have drivers and people like that, instead of thinking like, hey, let's give this person a good impression of our country, they end up giving them a bad impression just to try and gain a little bit of extra money. I do have to tell this story though. When my parents came here about 10 months ago, we took a ton of taxis in the Philippines, and luckily we didn't have one single bad experience. And my parents left the Philippines and they were saying, boy, I'm amazed at how good the taxi drivers are here. They don't know that they just got extremely lucky, and every taxi driver they had, even though we took a lot, every single one was very, very good. Now the next thing that could really be improved is service from companies within the country. For example, Philippine Airlines, I fly that airline a lot. But when my cousin was here, we took a trip on Philippine Airlines, and he commented on how unfriendly the flight attendants were. And this is a common experience when you fly local airlines here. But he said he flew into the Philippines on a Japanese airline, and he said the flight attendants on the Japanese airline, the Japanese flight attendants were smiling the whole time. And he was thinking, geez, how can they smile this long? Their faces must get tired after a while. But then when he took Philippine Airlines, he commented about how the flight attendants don't smile at all. They either have a bad attitude, like they don't want to be there, they don't care about you, they don't want to serve you, they have that attitude, or they have an expression where they look completely indifferent. They won't smile, they're just emotionless like a robot. One of the flight attendants my cousin actually commented on, he said, she's like the Terminator. She's very pretty, but she's like a Terminator. She's kind of scary. And also, since I do fly local airlines quite a bit, for example, Philippine Airlines, if you have an issue where you need to call the airline, it's very hard to get service from a human being. Trying to find someone that cares enough to help you resolve your problem, it's very difficult, so that's very unprofessional. It is so hot on this plane right now. I'm glistening with sweat. My arms are all sweaty. I'm even sweating through my t-shirt. If you fly Philippine Airlines, you too can sit in a sauna like this. Another problem, speaking of service, is staying in a lot of hotels. I'm actually in a hotel right now that's a really great hotel, but there's a lot of hotels you'll go to where the employees there, they don't seem to care about you whatsoever. For example, check out this clip of where I went to a hotel called Camelot Hotel in Quezon City just to inquire about the rates. You can see as I go up and ask for the rates, the one girl barely pays attention, just shoves a piece of paper at me with the rates, and the other girl just walks off. Now these are people that clearly do not care about your business, and do you really want to spend all this money on these companies that are treating you this way? A third thing that could be done to improve tourism and just tourists' impression of the Philippines to make them want to come back and tell all their friends what a great place this is if they could do something about the pollution. Now this is a very serious problem and not an easy one to solve. I've been trying to make people aware, just to educate people, because I feel that the way you solve the problem with pollution, you don't necessarily think about the government and expect them to do everything. It starts with the people and the mindset of the people, and just getting people to take pride in their place, in their environment, and not litter, not pump out all these fumes into the air, not just throw their garbage in the water or the land and completely mess the place up, because this is everyone's home. You probably wouldn't throw garbage on the floor of your house, so it doesn't make any sense why we should be throwing it all over outside. So if we could educate people to change their mindset and really clean this place up, which would take a big effort and it'd take some time, but it would be worth doing, because I know when I hear a lot of complaints from people about the Philippines, one of the top things they don't like is the pollution. Unfortunately though, through trying to educate people, because people here are so extremely prideful, a lot of people will get angry and they'll say you shouldn't show things like that, you shouldn't try and change people's thinking, let's just pretend the problem doesn't exist and promote the place, let's just show Palawan and Boracay and promote it as a paradise. But so many places around the country, it's just polluted, the ground is filthy, the air is full of fumes and has a very heavy smell. So it'd be really fabulous if we could change that. A fourth thing that they could do better, and this is a much more minor thing, is if they eliminated the travel tax. Now some people that come and visit, they don't notice that there's an exit tax to leave, because if they bought it through a travel agent, a lot of the times those fees are included with the price of their ticket. But especially if you live here like me, anytime you leave the country, you have to pay this big fee, this big tax just to leave the country. And I've been to a lot of airports around the world, and the Philippines is the only airport that I've been to that I know charges a steep tax just to fly out of the country. And I know some people that rubs the wrong way. Even traveling within the country, a lot of the times there's a lot of even smaller taxes at airports, and these aren't for those ones, they're not big, but a lot of the times it rubs people the wrong way because they just feel like they're being nickeled and dimed, and it's just kind of a hassle. So that's number 4, a little bit more minor complaint. And number 5, one of the biggest things that I think the Philippines could do to improve tourism is just to help educate people there, because they want to promote it as a tourist destination and only show you what's good about it. But the downside to that is a lot of people are going to come over and they're not going to have a realistic expectation. They're not going to have knowledge that's going to help keep them safe and help it just so they can relax and have a fun vacation, but still be safe. One of the most common questions that people write me about is the Philippines safe? Well, my answer to that is yes, it's pretty safe, Depending on what you do though, and it depends on what you know, you can easily come to the Philippines even if you've never been here before and have a very fun, safe time. Or you can come and have a very risky time where maybe you either get scammed, someone robs you, maybe something worse happens, but that's either because the person's doing something dumb and behaving in a very risky manner and all that could have been avoided, but sometimes people just don't have the knowledge to keep them safe. I know for me, on my first trip, which was way back in 2003, one thing that really helped me was I had a guidebook about the Philippines. There wasn't much information on the Philippines back then. About the only thing I could find when I tried to research the Philippines online back then was I saw a picture of Starbucks at Greenbelt, and that's all they really had. But I had a guidebook that I got from the library, and it was talking about stories of tourists coming over, having like girls stay with them, and when they'd wake up in the morning, all their valuables would be missing, and just it had a lot of horror stories in it of people either getting robbed, taken advantage of, scammed in some way. But even though that was a little bit scary, it didn't deter me, but it helped keep me safe, and it made sure that I behaved in responsible ways, so I wasn't putting myself at risk, and I still had a great time. So instead of the tourism department or whoever's promoting it from the government, instead of just putting out only the positive things about how this is paradise, it would be great if they showed that, but then for people that need to go a bit deeper and really need the information to keep them safe, they have some good guidelines about that. Because I'll tell you this, if people come over as tourists and something bad happens to them, they're gonna go back, they're gonna tell all their friends, they're gonna get on the internet and tell people, oh, the Philippines is a terrible place, it's not safe, you know, some bad things happened to me there, don't go there. And that's ultimately going to hurt tourism. So those are 5 things that I feel the Philippines could do better. Those are 5 suggestions. By no means do they have to take them. It's not their responsibility. But I'm just putting out this information for you guys to help you. And so many of you guys are sending me these nice letters telling me about how you've learned so much about the Philippines through my videos and my travels, and writing me these letters. I've been shocked by how many people, I can't even count how many people, have actually written me and told me that they bought tickets to go to the Philippines just because they watched my videos. That totally blows my mind. That wasn't even something that I set out to do. I really just started doing these videos just because I want to show you guys something different and entertain you guys. But as a result, I feel a responsibility to put out accurate information just to help keep you guys informed and give you guys knowledge to help keep you safe and make sure that you really have a fun time. There's no reason to come over and put yourself at risk or in some sort of danger. Just, you guys will have a good time. Don't overthink things, and of course, keep watching my videos, and thank you guys so much for your support.